Just finished up a live stream in need of a snack, and check out who the brand new channel sponsor is. This is the first official announcement that Hot Pockets is sponsoring my channel, and in particular, they're sponsoring a brand new series on my channel. This one, a top 5 questions and answered, inspired by the Q&A I did for 1 million with my wife. My personal favorite, the pepperoni with the mozzarella and that garlic crust. I made it in a minute here. Hot Pockets, fantastic job. So let's get into the top 5 then. To start, I've got some of the most common questions that I get in my live streams, as well as just what I see in the description. First question, I have a few answers to. What is my most anticipated game for 2017? Probably the highest one on my list right now is Star Wars Battlefront 2. I gotta see this, I gotta play it. Hell, I even gotta stream it, and it's seen a lot of improvements versus the first one, to the point where I'm quite excited about it, but I'm interested in what else there's going to be. In addition, I'm actually excited for the single player for it. Normally, I'm not a single player person, but when it's Star Wars. The second on my list is probably Destiny 2. This is a game that I enjoyed from the first one, but it was a bit too grindy, so I'm hoping that with the second one, they learned some of the lessons to make at least the grind more interesting and fun. Surprisingly enough, after a couple years off, the third one on my list is Call of Duty World War II. The theme is obviously a huge fan favorite, and the thing that's really the driving force, it's Call of Duty back to boots on the ground. Now, is that style of gameplay just way too done for me? I really don't know, because I didn't even get the last Call of Duty, so I might be ready for a refresh on it. But it's going to be one that I'm going to pick up this year and at least give it a shot. While I do play a lot of the major titles, though, I'm not exclusive to it, although maybe you consider this major now as well. PUBG, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, has its full game coming out this year as well. The early access has been driving me insane with the bugs, but nonetheless, it's a very addicting game that I've been playing a lot of. And along the same lines, Islands of Nine is a first-person battle royale game that I'm quite interested in as well. I've only done one video about that. It's still been very closed alpha, so you don't have much access to it, and I can't get a good feel, but it's something that definitely has caught my interest in terms of the setting and the different environments that it's going to put you in for Battle Royale, essentially more futuristic sci-fi. Question 2, going back to PUBG, is what game mode would I want to see implemented? The custom games are some of my absolute favorites in there, and they're going to have first person being added, but outside of that, what I would love to see is a 50 versus 50 mode. You guys have seen some of this gameplay, and it is insane to manage. If there was a way where you could see all 50 of your teammates on one side, or at least on the minimap, and all 50 on the other team, so you know who your friendlies or foes were, it would make the experience incredible. While the max player count currently is 4 people on a squad, 50 is a lot different. Some people have drawn some similarities to that from like Arma and those types of things, where you can make different situations. I still would love to see it in this game as well, though. I think this is also the most achievable of the custom games that could be put into Battlegrounds, but there was another one that I was talking about with Level Cap and Jack Frags. Level had initially started talking about essentially a zombie mode, which they recently implemented, not completely done yet, but where zombies can continually attack and respawn and attack. Ultimately, the goal being for the survivors, the humans, to make it to a final extraction point, which a lot of people kind of draw similarity to with Left 4 Dead. A lot of people like that game as well, and this is definitely a different setting for it that I think could be very interesting of a mode. Number 3. Does Battlefield 1 need more content? This actually stemmed from a question that I had read saying that Battlegrounds doesn't really have that much in the game necessarily right now, yet people are playing it incredible amounts. It is hitting record concurrent numbers, whereas Battlefield is releasing more content, but they're not gaining as much traction with it. In fact, dropping player count. To that, I would say, first of all, they're completely different games. Battlegrounds has a promise of future content already coming since it's still in early access, and the competitive nature in the game already makes it much more playable. That's why you see people playing games like CSGO, at least in my opinion, for so long, because of that competitive scene and because it has such a strong competitive scene. Battlegrounds looks like they're trying to make a more competitive scene with it in esports and things. I don't know how convincing that's really going to be. I haven't been playing that competitively or watching it personally, but when it comes to Battlefield, more of your quote-unquote casual shooter, it's a game that you have a lot more options in the way that you want to play, and as a matter of fact, they're planning to make competitive in Battlefield 1. That's something that's coming in one of the future updates. How much content there is for Battlefield 1, while there are a lot of maps, there's been a lack of guns. There's 11 new guns coming in the next update, which I think is going to be very strong. We now actually have the first Battlefield 1 Name of the Czar map on the community test environment, so we're starting to see some of that coming out. But when you compare it to the last Battlefield, even Hardline had quite a bit of content, but really, Battlefield 4, new maps, new guns dropping consistently, and that had attachments, so it had a lot more content. And so, in my opinion, we could use more for Battlefield to keep it fresh. 4. This goes back to a little bit of my first question, but what are the biggest improvements that I saw from Star Wars Battlefront 2 versus the first one? I got to see the game a little bit early, and while it was really only that one map on the Battle of Theed, and there's been so many videos for it, the biggest thing for me was the introduction to classes. In Battlefront 1, every time I would spawn in, I would always have a jetpack. It would turn into almost the same game on any of the maps. And they did do a good job by introducing some of the new modes like Turning Point, but it did take them a while to actually introduce it. Right off the bat with the Battle of Theed, this is a brand new mode that we had never really seen. 3 different stages in it that led and progressed throughout the map, and that was just with early closed alpha, earlier than that even, access to the game. Having the different classes, though, was something tangible that I was able to see, and I could already feel the effects of how it played, as well as just the overall gunplay. It felt like the bullets were going faster, and I had more control of a lot of the outcome. Finally, question number 5, and I wanted to end this on a different note with one of definitely my most common questions, and that is tips for new streamers as well as YouTubers, and generally in gaming, since I don't know really about anything else. I don't go outside, guys. It's also why I'm so pale. I've been making content for almost 6 years now. I came from a perspective of loving video games and kind of learning how to entertain as I went on. I never did any drama or like theater or anything like that. I was way too scared to do any of that stuff. So I kind of have taken a different approach. But the thing is, there's no one size fits all for this. You can see it from the range of content that's on YouTube or even on streams. You can try and be the first person to get to content and to cover a game that maybe is not as big. But it generally has to be a game that you actually enjoy. If it's something that you enjoy and then happens to blow up to be a giant game, that's a fantastic way to do it. Hitting search engine results is always a key for any creator, but you can also just have the level of quality of content that will drive views. If the quality is good enough of the video of whatever you're watching, not just in terms of, you know, the camera and whatever, the actual content itself is the most important part. Just as, or if not more important though, is the consistency. My YOLO series didn't even take off until episode like 15 or so. If you're not making enough content, then why would anybody subscribe versus just watching the video that's there right in front of them? I also know that I'm not the best and still have more work to do on it, and every time I do hit a goal, I'm already looking 2 more steps ahead in terms of where I can get to. That was the top 5, though. Let me know in the comments what you think about this. I've changed my mind quite a bit in the past over the years of gaming and experiencing games as well as listening to other people. Let me know in the comments what you thought about any of these points. If you have any ideas or feedback for it, let me know in the comments, as well as leave that question for me of what would you like to hear me talk about next month. Thanks so much for watching. That's for this one. This is SwagMountain 64. Over and out.